Hey guys, how you doing? My name is John and welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to take a closer look at a fairly rare system. In fact, it's one of Sega's very first systems to hit the home market to the public, and that is known as the Sega SG-1000 Model II. The system was released in Japan in 1983. It was actually released the same date as the Nintendo Famicom. So because of the popularity of Famicom, this was very limited in popularity. It wasn't that successful. It was released in Europe. It was released in New Zealand as well. It never saw light of day in North America, and because of that, and because of the limited success of the system, it is rare today. So what we're going to do today's video is take a closer look at the system itself, the box, the cover. I'm going to show you an example of a game for the system so you can see what it's all about, and I hope you guys learn some things. Also, I want to let you guys know before we dive into the review, I am now on Facebook. A lot of people have requested me and on Facebook. I've decided to make my own Gamester81 page on Facebook. So I'll put a link below this video if you guys are interested in becoming friends on Facebook. I will be posting updates on what I'm up to. I will also be posting updates as far as what videos and reviews are coming before they're posted here on YouTube. So if you're curious, don't forget I'm also on Twitter. So appreciate you guys' support. Let's take a closer look. So here is the box that I have for it. Overall, it's in fairly good shape, considering it's 26 years old. It's not bad. This particular Model 2 was released in 1984 in Japan. A year earlier, 1983, that's July 15th of 1983, Nintendo released the Nintendo Famicom, and Sega released the SG-1000, same date, which is kind of interesting. That was Sega's very first attempt in the home console market. They were in the arcade market as well, doing classics like Frogger, working with Gremlin, and doing all that good stuff. But they wanted to have a home console market, and this was their one of their first attempts. This is the second attempt with the Model 2. Let's check out the box itself. We got some demonstrations of some games here. It's all in Japanese, so I can't translate that for you. We can kind of name this these certain games. This is like baseball. This is like Galaga. Some racing game, you can kind of get the idea. Now what's kind of cool is you actually hook up different accessories with it as well. So there's a port up in front, you can hook up a keyboard, you can hook up a printer, you can hook up a cassette drive, and it would act like a computer. So not only was it marketed as a home console, it was marketed as a computer as well. Now what's interesting is later on, Sega released the SC-3000 computer, which is essentially an SG-100 with all this built in, and the games are compatible back and forth, and that went on to sell actually more of those than they did of this. So this sold, I think, retail for about 15,000 yen, which in US dollars, that's about $180 equivalent in that conversion rate. So there's more pictures of all that. Obviously nothing's included. More pictures of games. The unit itself, it kind of looks like the Mark III, which the Mark III is actually what is known as the Sega Master System. This is the successor. There are some similarities for sure. And let's check out the console itself. Here's a closer look at the console itself. Pretty basic in design, to be honest with you. These are the size of the cartridges, almost about the size of like an Atari 2600 cart, maybe a ColecoVision cart. And those will just plug in like so with the label facing outwards. You got your power button is actually on the front here, on and off. This is your pause button, very similar to what the Sega Master System had. There's no pause button on the controller. It was on the console itself. This is the light that would light up red if the power is on to indicate it's on. This is this would come out. This is the expansion module here. You can put on the keyboard, printer. You can hook up a whole bunch of cool things to that. On the bottom, you get your serial number here. It's made in Japan, obviously. And then here's the back. You got two controller ports. It's an 8-pin adapter. I'm fairly certain that the Genesis controller would work on here. I haven't tried it, to be honest with you. I'll give it a shot in this review. This is your RF cable here. This would plug into your TV. You need a coaxial adapter in order to play it on TVs. Today. This is your TV, your channel adapter. What's interesting is when you're playing it on North American TVs, instead of being on channel 3 or 4, it needs to be on channel 96. This is your power would plug into here. And what's nice about this system rather than the Super Famicom was rather than the controllers being built into the system, actually detachable. That's really nice. This is what the controller looks like. Actually plugs in onto the side. snaps in. It should snap in anyway, like so. So this is what the controller looks like itself. Pretty basic. There's not even an A or B button or 1 or 2 button. It's just 2 black buttons. This is what the joystick looks like, and it doesn't handle very well. It's doesn't really give very well, and I don't know. It's not my ideal controller. I think Sega finally got it right with the Genesis controller or the Mega Drive controller, but with this and the Sega Master System controller or Mark III controller, either one, not a big fan of them. Now, the interesting thing about this console itself, it did sell very well in Taiwan. So for those of you that are from Taiwan or have been to Taiwan, this system did very well. It's probably one of the strongest markets it did well, and it was never officially released in North America, as I mentioned before earlier in this video. However, Telegames had purchased the right to make ColecoVision games, and they had made ColecoVision clones, and it was called the Dyna 2-in-1. And this system actually is very similar graphically to the ColecoVision. It can display about 16 colors at a time, 32 sprites on screen. So what they did was they built the Dyna 2-in-1, and this is the system right here. I'll do a review on this system a little later. And what it essentially is, it's a ColecoVision, and it's an SG-1000 in one. And this was only available through mail order catalogs back in the late 80s, so it's fairly rare. I'll do a review on this system in another video to come, but just to let you know, it's kind of interesting. So you could actually play these games in North America through the Dyna 2-in-1. All right, let's take some look at some gameplay. Here is GP World. This is a racing game for the SG-1000, one of a couple of games I own for the system. And what I really like about this game is the option to do a track editor. I did recently pick up Gran Turismo 5, and in that game there's a track editor as well. But this menu screen made a little bit more sense than that menu screen for Gran Turismo 5, which is interesting because this is one of the very early racing games for a home console. Let's fast forward just a bit, and we're going to finish this track that I've just created. You got to make sure that it is a raceable track, which it is. It is kind of tricky to match up just right, but I managed to figure it out. There's different levels as far as difficulty goes. I'm going to try level 1. I do like the controls in this game, although using the SG-1000 controller, moving left and right, is not that responsive. I do prefer to use the Genesis controller, to be honest with you, while playing this. There are 2 shifts. You got low and high, so it's manual. You go low, you can go maximum of 150 kilometers an hour, while high you can go 300 kilometers an hour. The sound is okay. It's not as good as the Famicom, and the graphics and color are not as good as the Famicom. It like I mentioned before, is kind of between. It's more similar to a ColecoVision graphics, so it's between an Atari 2600 and Nintendo, kind of between those style of graphics. Another thing I want to add about the controllers themselves for the SG-1000 are that the controller cords are not long enough at all. Maybe at the most they're about 2 feet long as far as the cords go, so there's not enough slack. So in order to play this game, you're going to have to really sit close to the TV or have the console come to you, which is kind of a pain. Overall, the SG-1000 is a great collector's item, very interesting system, part of history for Sega. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you soon.